Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I think we definitely have the unenviable task of keeping you engaged right after lunch, so we'll try our best. But thank you for being here. It's definitely a great privilege to host you in this amazing city. My team and I, we've come in from fairly long places. I'm actually based out of Oslo. I have another team which has made also similar trips. And we have our team from the United States also visiting us to really be part of this experience. So first of all, let me go ahead and thank you very much for being here and being part of the Cisco journey. Today, I'm going to give you a little sense of the digital transformation which is happening across industries and really driving towards workplace transformation. My name's Sandeep. I'm general manager for the devices organization of WebEx. And like I said, I'm based out of Oslo. So kicking it off, I want to give you a sense of what are some of the trends I'm seeing across industry and how the workplace is transforming. First and foremost, it's definitely something that we all see in every workplace, that there's a very big change in the demographics. So we now see 4 generations of people in that workforce, potentially a 5th, right? And that's causing massive disruption in terms of engagement. If you think about what's happening in the workplace, there's a huge need for flexibility. In fact, 60% by 2020 will potentially be working from anywhere, working from home, working from really remotely. Thirdly, big trend, it is about the change in activities. We're seeing up to 50% increase in the collaborative intensity in terms of how things get done. And the fourth one, major trend, and this is no surprise again, it is about consumerization of IT. All of us taking our tools and making its way into the enterprise. Obviously creating huge sort of opportunities, but challenges too. So let's think about what that has meant in terms of workplace transformation. And we're seeing this digital transformation happening across industry. KPMG recently did a study and said that they're seeing spends of up to 1.25 trillion in terms of what is happening around driving this digital transformation. But here's a fact on the ground, and this is from McKinsey, and we all see this in our workplaces. Less than 16% of companies are actually seeing that result within their organizations. And the point being that if you really want to start thinking about digitizing, you need to start thinking differently. It is about people, technology, place, design, really all coming together to drive these amazing experiences which win hearts and minds and which really drive magic moments for people at work. And what does that all result in? Engagement. And I think that's a big area that we've been focused on in terms of driving engagement and really driving that magic moment within the organization. So let's sort of think about what does that mean in terms of the needs of the modern workplace. First and foremost, it's about speed. I meet a lot of CEOs, and one of the first things that they say to me is, agility is the new currency. This is how they want to drive that within the marketplace. The second one, which is, again, top of mind for every business leader, is about talent retention. And how do they create engagement within that talent pool? In fact, we did a survey with a whole host of CEOs. We found 80% said this is a major concern for them, and what they need is engagement within their workplace. Unfortunately, only about 20% of them actually were able to provide an engaging workplace which drives that. Connected, we all see this in our daily lives itself and the workplace, which is about the tools and the complexity which each of us lives in. In fact, we did a poll and we did a study. We found each of us takes about 34 different tools within our workplace. And that's our day, right? We're just going from tool to tool, and it's causing huge amount of complexity. And the last one is about how do you really unlock the value of real estate? We've all invested significant amount of monies, significant amount of resources in building amazing workplaces. But is it really driving engagement? And are you able to unlock the value of space? And what I mean by that is, think about your office, where you might have actually built many of those spaces for 12 people, for 14 people. But what happens? You've got 2 people sitting in that space and actually occupying this very costly real estate. Can you start unlocking the value and building in a way which is much more agile? Connected to agile, that's another big trend that we're seeing, which is the whole advent of agile teams. Let's sort of rewind back to what used to happen in the past. In the past, you had teams which were very hierarchical. They had a problem statement, they came together as a team, probably within 4 walls, ideated, did certain activities, and that's how they sort of accomplished the task. That, in the world of today, is completely different. We have distributed teams, teams which are geographically spread, they're remote. For that matter, they also function very differently. It's about how do you have the speed of thought in terms of coming together. You need to be able to ideate, co-create, do things completely different from what you did yesterday, and then after you've done that, very quickly disband. That is the way that agile teams come together. Is your organization built for that? So what really teams need then is the magic of workplaces which allow for innovation and speed, combining physical, the virtual, and most importantly, the context, the workflows that you see within your daily lives. And I think this is sort of illustrated by an example. Let me show you something that we've seen time and again with our customers. Beautiful office. I'm sure this resonates with many of you. This is one of the rooms that you probably have in your office. But think about the level of complexity which exists just within this particular office or this space. Even to just start this particular experience or an experience, you have 3 remotes. You have multiple touch points, no memory, no persistence of any of these different devices. Each one has a different way that you start that experience. We're looking to disrupt that and completely change that. And this is something that we at Cisco have been absolutely focused on, which is to really change the way you think about the modern workplace. Team-centric at a core. It's something which has got rich intelligence, AI built in and driving invisible experiences. Also, it has to be interoperable. Interoperable within our portfolio, but also with best of breed. And lastly, this also comes back to the whole concept of openness. How do you create a platform approach? How do you have an approach where you bring in the best of breed? You've made investment choices. We need to be able to help you build that as part of our platform. So moving this discussion forwards, I want to talk a little bit about how do you then create engagement in the modern workplace. And it's my hypothesis, it's really 3 big trends that I'm seeing in terms of driving this modern workplace. First and foremost, it is about how do you smartify the workplace and create smart workspaces which is for all, whether it's for small spaces, large spaces, or any other spaces. And I will take you through a little journey of that. And the whole point is, how do you then drive magic moments? How do you win hearts and minds of users in every way that they think about that experience? Second, to drive adoption, you have to have personalization. You also have to create experiences that IT, yourselves, many of you who manage these experiences, can drive at scale. And I will take you through a little journey of how we are driving towards that. And thirdly, there is a major change in the marketplace on the next phase of how do you drive innovation. It is about ideation. It is about co-creation. It is about having innovation at the speed of thought. And again, we've created some incredible experiences and devices which allow for that. So should I take you on that journey? Yeah? OK. Thank you. So the first one I will talk a little bit about is smart workspaces and how you can really bring those magic moments within every part of your organization. So just by, indulge me for a second, how many of you, have situations where you find when you walk into a meeting, never starts on time? Just by show of hands, yeah? So we actually found every meeting starts 10 minutes late. Actually, if you look within any organization, we're finding that based on your activity, you probably spend between 30 to 70% of your time in meetings. And by the way, in every one of those meetings, how many of you have seen the fact that there's your colleagues, your other folks who bring in things that are not relevant to that meeting, and they're typing away, they're sort of banging on their mobile phone or so on? Yes? Absolutely. This is something that we see across organizations, which means basically there is no engagement within those meetings. And still we spend 30 to 70% of our times in those scenarios. Can we change that? And one of the things that we've been on is a journey to absolutely transform that. And a key metric that we did was to bring in video. Video into every way that you think about experiences around meetings. And what has happened is, over the last 12 to 24 months, this has become a core part of our strategy, our platform. And we've seen adoption which is unprecedented. It is 50%, we're seeing it being driven 50%, over the last 1 year, right? That's the sort of growth that we've seen. And that is only happening faster and faster. And why is that? Well, it is because video drives engagement. Video drives a very different way that you start engaging with folks, whether it's within the office, whether it's remote, whether it's anywhere. And it basically takes away all those other pieces of people working on other sorts of things while you have your meetings. It is a much more engaged meeting. In fact, when we bring in video, we see that the time for meetings has now reduced. So really important sort of areas that we've seen growth in. We also did some interesting things and rather incredible things, actually looking at transforming spaces. So these are some examples of spaces that we've transformed. And this has been something that we've actually excelled at over the last X number of years, right? The large spaces, as well as we've done the same in the medium spaces. But I want to take a moment today to talk about a big transformation that we're seeing in what we call as the huddle space. We call this small, the new big. And let me show you what that really comes to. And as I said, we're seeing a massive transformation. In fact, this is across industry. We're seeing a growth which is unprecedented, 27% year over year. And why? Well, it is because of how modern teams come together. They want that flexibility. They want to be able to very quickly come together in informal ways. So it could be, I'm walking on the corridor, I meet my colleague Norma, and we want to ideate around a particular topic. And we walk up to one of these devices and very quickly start whiteboarding. And what if we want to then get our colleague Tom? At the click of a button, we're able to get Tom from Vermont. And that's the typical modern day life of a modern worker, right? Which is flexible, super easy, and all happening on the fly. And that's what typically happens in a huddle space. It's not a defined space. It is really happening across the floor plan. But here's the challenge. When we actually did a poll of the industry itself, we found that across your workspaces, almost half of your huddle spaces had little or no technology. And by the way, where you did have some of the technology, it was technology which just did not work. The experience was extremely poor. The users were left unengaged. Why is that? Well, it just does not work if I walk into a space and then I walk into another space and the experiences are completely different. So what we've seen in many of the organizations is, again, shadow IT or others, they put in a webcam, they put in a PC, they put in some of these devices, the experience is just very poor. So what are teams really looking for? Very simply, they're looking to be able to do these amazing collaborations and co-creation sort of moments from anywhere. So any workspace, it is super easy to use. It's not something that every time I go to a different space, I'm actually learning a completely new way of doing things. And lastly, it's something, particularly for many of you over here, something that you can manage at scale from a single pane of glass. And that's a huge capability that we're bringing to bear. And to that, over the last 12 months, we've been very hard at work to build the most incredible portfolio for the huddle space. And here's an important piece. When you think about huddle, it also has to be priced right. And we believe we've actually nailed it in terms of really driving a price point and driving it for every huddle budget. So whether you want to share, huge part of the modern day, which is, hey, being able to share content. I'm walking along with my colleague Norma. I just want to be able to have a discussion around some PowerPoint discussion, right? Or for that matter, communication, rich video. Click a button, get my team together and be able to have a discussion. And lastly, the next step to communication, which is how do I ideate? How do I whiteboard? How do I co-create along with teams which I sort of work with? So that's the core part of our huddle bundle. And what we then did is to add some incredible things. By the way, I've got a very, I'm sure you're all wondering, you were talking about video, you're talking about collaboration, digital transformation. What is this car doing up here? Just by show of hands, how many of you have a self-driving car, a Tesla, or any intelligent car? Okay, a few people. Well, let's think about what happens in this device. And it's pretty incredible because, when I step into my Tesla, if I'm not holding the steering wheel, it will prompt me and say, hey, you need to hold the steering wheel. For that matter, it gives me, intelligence in terms of there's a car on the left, there's a car on the right, what's the distance between these cars, how far am I from the curb? And by the way, as I approach my garage, I don't need to press a button because it senses the garage door and it opens up on the fly. So this is the level of intelligence that is built into these devices. What if you could have that same incredible intelligence into all these meeting spaces that you enter? Well, that's exactly what we did, which is to take the same intelligence which is there in the self-driving car. The NVIDIA Jetson chip is a core part of this entire portfolio that you see. So what that means is these devices then have incredible intelligence built in at the core, deep AI and machine learning at the center of it. So what does that mean for you? Well, these sensors and AI allow you now, as you walk into a space, these devices know who you are. They have facial recognition. They have voice recognition, so I can speak to it. So the devices sense how many people are there in the space. So you actually know utilization of a space. By the way, they know engagement because they know who's speaking, how long have you been speaking. For that matter, you can actually even look at other elements within that space. Temperature, be able to monitor that. For that matter, even I could actually monitor the other elements within that space. What about the fact that when we have meetings and we have these sessions, can there be more intelligence where it's a large room and you had two people sitting? Can the device very seamlessly just capture only the people who were there in that space? Rather than capturing all those 12 chairs, it captures just the people who are there. What about, we've all seen the scenario that we're in a video meeting and you don't get to know who's speaking because it just captured everybody else. Can you have intelligent framing to capture the right speaker and put him on center stage? And what about if it's a group of people? So again, having that intelligence of framing it in the right way. And this is all happening on the fly with incredible intelligence. And by the way, we just took that to the next level, which was to even add facial recognition and name labels, and also the title. So I actually faced this as a huge challenge I walk into meetings a lot. I will meet with customers. And somewhere along the line, I forget their name. Has that happened to you, where 10 minutes into a meeting, you forget the name of somebody? It's hugely embarrassing. What if you didn't have to? What if that pain went away? And by the way, here's another thing. Every meeting, typically you're doing these 10 minutes of introductions and getting to know each other. This just took it away, because now you know who is this person, whether it's internal, external, you know by their title, you know his name or her name, as well as the title. And it builds instant connections. So we've been really at this over the last couple of years in terms of adding AI at the core of how our entire portfolio comes together. We call this the 5 steps of AI within devices and the user experience. We started this a couple of years ago. We are well ahead in that journey. And what I mean by that is, we started a few years ago around command and control. So I could speak to a device, use a keyword like, hey, WebEx, and the device would come alive and I could speak to it. Fast forward, we then moved into really being able to have conversational elements. So this is around natural language understanding. Today, we're at somewhere between stage 3 and 4 in terms of really bringing intelligence at a core, almost like a team member. So let me give you a very interesting example of something that we just came out with, and we call this proactive join. We've all been in scenarios where we're sitting in a meeting room, it's 10 a.m., and we were supposed to be part of another meeting, but we got busy doing something else. What if the device, it knows who you are, it senses that you're in front of it, it knows what your calendar is, and actually wakes up and says, hey, Sandeep, your meeting is at 10 a.m., and by the way, you have Tom waiting for you in that meeting space. Do you want to join? We actually just launched this. So, these are some of the experiences we're really driving, which are invisible, which just change the way you think about winning hearts and minds of users. So I'd like to show you. Would you like to see how some of these things come together? Yeah? OK, I'm going to bring my friend and colleague, Espen Loberg. He is Senior Director for Product Management based out of Oslo for WebEx devices. Hey, Espen, welcome.
Yes, Sandeep, thanks for having me on stage.
Good to have you on. All right,
so
should we show them all?
Yeah, so we brought some devices with us, right? We want to kind of show you how we will deliver this concept of the self-driving meeting, in this case. Right? We have some colleagues that have put up a small huddle space in a hotel room not far from here, using the spearhead of our huddle space portfolio, the RoomKit Mini. We have a scheduled meeting on the WebEx board here on stage. We could have done the proactive join, which would have worked in an ordinary kind of meeting room. It's a bit hard to do in this setup, so we'll do this the old-fashioned way. We will start the meeting by invoking the assistant. OK, WebEx. OK, WebEx. Start meeting.
Got it. Joining workplace transformation.
And it even works with the thunder. Hey, Anders.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're luckily inside.
Yes, we can definitely hear that there's some weather going on the outside. So welcome to our Whisper Suite at the Hyatt Orlando, so just across the street from you guys. We know that huddle spaces are really important to a lot of businesses these days, so this is why we've designed the RoomKit Mini. I'm sitting in front of a RoomKit Mini now, and I'm sorry for this. Probably not the typical huddle space, but that's what we were able to do in the suite here. But the RoomKit Mini is designed to be deployed in numbers. It's a kind of really compact form factor with speaker, microphone, camera, and codec all built into one, and we use the same user interface for this system as we have for the rest of the system as well, our portfolio systems. The system is designed for, as I said, volume, and it needs to be remotely managed and really simple to set up. So this is fully manageable like the rest of our portfolio with software upgrades, diagnostics, statistics, everything remotely. and really easy to get installed on a single screen device, as I'm sitting in front of here. Not that cable spaghetti that some of the other huddle-based solutions have, but a really compact, really good design system. The camera on the RoomKit Mini is also automatic. So when I turn on the automatic camera, you'll see that the system zooms in on me, so I don't need to worry about camera control. I just walk into the room, sit down, and the system will automatically adjust the camera to fit our meeting. And just to show the dynamics of the automatic camera, let me show you what happens when a colleague of mine joins.
Yeah, as you can see, as I join the room, the camera automatically sort of updates dynamically and frames perfectly the two of us. And it also recognizes me, so I get my name label right here. And let's see if we can trick it off by putting on some glasses.
Well, I can do the same thing. It's not a real test. But some of you guys know that I'm actually normally wearing my hair. So I forgot this morning, but I can put it back on again. And you'll see that it will still be able to recognize both of us. And I can also show you that we have the same feature set on the RoomKit Mini as for the rest of the systems as well. So let me just turn on diagnostic mode. You'll see that we have face detection here, so the system recognizes where we are. We also have the gray square around us here. That is the actual frame that we're sending to the far end. And probably most important, we have people count up in the right corner. So the system will be able to provide us with the information on how many people that is in the room. So we really want the RoomKit Mini and the rest of the products in our portfolio to be that sensor in the room that will be able to provide you with valuable information on the usage and how the system is being used. And that is a key critical success factor to our portfolio as well. Not only being video conferencing devices, but clearly adding a lot of value both in local meetings as well as in video meetings, but also providing better knowledge on how the systems are being used and how people are actually using the different meeting rooms around the floors. So that's it from us here. I'll pass it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Anders. You think I need to get a hair change like you too?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely too warm for Florida.
All right, thank you guys. See you soon.
Okay, WebEx. End meeting.
I'm not sure how to help.
Or we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Should we, by the way, to make sure that, that we have this room booked for the rest of your session, that's a pretty kind of common scenario, right?
Sure.
That you come into a huddle space or a meeting room, it's actually free for now, but you don't know kind of whether you will be able to kind of have it available.
Are you going to show us how you can
Should we try to do
schedule
that?
it?
How we
Okay.
can do that without friction, without having to pull your laptop and deal with all the calendaring? Okay, WebEx. Book this room for 1 hour. I think the WebEx is not with us in the thunderstorm tonight, but that's what, or today, but that's what we could potentially do now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Espen. Okay. So what you saw was the fact that we have been really hard at work creating, amazing experiences that IT can manage and that win hearts and minds across the entire floor plan. We allowed you to do that in the large spaces, and now, with our sort of complete portfolio, you can win, gain hearts and minds of your users across the entire floor plan. And by the way, this is something that IT can then manage at scale from a single pane of glass. So that was about, smart workspaces. Let me now move to the next major trend that I'm seeing, which is about personalizing that entire experience. So to do that, really, we've been focused on two specific areas. One is, how do you create transformative experiences for your users, right? You have to win hearts and minds. And second, how do you really change the whole experience that IT can deliver in terms of driving it at scale? So we've really been focused on both of these two user bases. And what does that come to? Well, over the last 12 to 18 months, we have really done a major shift in terms of how we're bringing this whole experience and the platform to you. Firstly, We brought that personalization by bringing an app for every way that you think about the user experience. So whether it's the fact that you are a on-premise user with Jabber, whether it's a cloud and meetings user like WebEx, or for that matter, you're using WebEx Teams. They all have the same experience. They all have the same platform, which allows you to have these intelligent meetings. We also then did the same for our devices. And we created a device for every way you think about the meeting experience. So whether it was just about being able to share content, right? And this is a huge challenge in every organization. I mean, all the way from you walk into a space, you just want to be able to share content. And by the way, this also is for your guests. Can they seamlessly share that? Secondly, it's about having consistency of experiences for communicating. And lastly, as I spoke earlier, about co-creation. So we've really been focused on driving these device experiences which are seamless, which have one single consistent way that you think about that experience coming together. And the first starting point to that is really simplicity and a one button to push whatever app you use, whatever device you use, and whatever way you want to join. I just click the button to share, or I click the button to join. It's just one button, and things just magically start. Okay? And really, to win hearts and minds then, what you, as I was saying before, you have to have some core elements. It is about consistency. The moment you don't have consistency, you will have users actually falling out. The second critical piece is whether you're using services from the cloud, whether you're using on-premise, whether these devices are connected to internal systems or to the cloud, being able to very seamlessly share content, being able to pair to these devices or a screen or a display, and just without having to have any friction, be able to have that content shared. And like I said, even for a guest. And lastly, having those magical, intelligent experiences which are invisible, right? And so that's the work that we've been long and hard at work. I want to take you again through a little demo with how Espen's going to show us on sharing, pairing, and apps, and most importantly, something which I'm super excited about, on signage.
Yeah, so before we get to how we pair and share with our personal devices, which is really kind of what we usually do in our environments, we also want to show you how we can personalize and customize these devices to create more engagement in your workspace, right? So maybe you want to talk to what we're seeing on screen here, Sandeep, since this is a baby of yours.
So it's again, these devices become really multi-purpose. And not only are they allowing you to do communication, co-creation, but this same device has the ability to do digital signage. And why does that matter? Well, think about my teammate, Tom. He's based out of Vermont, and we live in Oslo. Tom sitting in Vermont actually is very connected because now he gets to see, all the way from what's the menu for lunch in Oslo to all the fun stuff that we're doing. And obviously, he's getting a little upset that he's not being invited. But that's the level of engagement that you can drive. By the way, because of the fact that it also supports touch, you could even have forms, you could have feedback, and for that matter, learning modules being delivered through the same signage platform.
Yeah, and this is where we partner with major signage providers, in this case AppSpace, right, to build on top of their amazing signage solutions. So, and that's what's happening with the device when it's not really in use for collaboration, right? You get informed about interesting stuff happening in your organization or your workspace. As soon as you walk into the room, right, it goes into collaboration mode. And this is where we've taken it to the next step with regards to personalizing the actual end user interface, right? To make it super simple for teams to go in and present, even without having to bring a laptop or a mobile device to drive a presentation. So one example is what we're doing in our own sales offices, right? When we want to engage customers in discussions around workplace transformation, we natively have our Project Workplace app running on the device.
So what is this? This is a web app?
This is a web app, right? A normal web page, right? That anyone can go in and discover, by the way, and explore. It puts all our devices into context, into spaces, right? And make you understand what they're actually built for.
So are you telling me that now on this device I can have other web apps
Any
such
web
as
app, right? So
YouTube,
exactly.
Trello, you know?
I mean, the web app that suits your workflow and your team, right? And make that super accessible to you as a walk-up and use experience. And this all being provisioned by your IT admin, right?
So that's fantastic. So just to set context, my team and I, because we're an engineering organization, we live heavily on this, Jira, on Trello, or for that matter, even the magic of stickies and Kanban boards, right? So these are just some of the examples of web apps that can be on this. You could actually even have Office 365 being used or G Suite from this same device. So we're seeing incredible applications for our users.
Yeah, and then again, to your point, it supports touch, right? You can do explorations in your apps working natively with those.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so that's the native web apps. Obviously, a lot of these sessions are driven from personal devices, right? So when I walk into a space, I want to drive the meeting or the conversation based on the contact list I have on my mobile phone, right? The meetings I have there, the content I have there, or what I have on my laptop, right? So in this case, my Mac here, when I enter the room, it seamlessly pairs to this device.
So you have no cables right now?
I have a cable, but that's predominantly for making sure that we have power.
Okay.
We wanted to kind of be...
So you're not connected to this device? No?
There's no cables connecting to this device. It's
no HDMI cable, no? Okay.
Nothing.
Fantastic.
Nothing. So I have a button here that says WebEx board Infocom, which is this board over here. I am able to kind of seamlessly share my screen. I will share something that happened yesterday.
Something super cool?
Something very, very cool and nice to the American people, right? There was a world record, actually, in female football, the World Cup that's currently going on. And let's now pretend that we are the Thai team that was actually beat 13-0 last night. We have a small video where we're analyzing.
By the way, a big congratulations to the America's team, for a 13-0 win. Big round of applause, yeah?
Yeah, so imagine that we're the coach or the coaches of the Thai team. We might want to analyze one of these goals, right? We have a short video here.
On that whistle, 18.5 yards away.
Right, so we're in this situation. We're playing it here live on the board. We can go now in and start annotating on this video clip, right?
So let me see what you did there. You actually played from your laptop.
From my laptop, wirelessly. 30 frames per second, a video from YouTube. Yep.
And it's showing up on this device. And now we are actually annotating on this.
Yeah, I'm hitting the annotation button on the board, right?
Okay.
And we can start discussing this situation with our drawing and whiteboarding tools, right?
Okay.
So in this case, probably the Thai team should have paid more attention to this player, to this player, to this player, and obviously this player here is an obvious threat, right? But there's just way too many openings here for the American team to do either this, or this, right? And of course,
you're not a coach, are you?
I'm not the coach. I don't even understand football that well. But then there's obviously kind of multiple scenarios here, and you can color code and whatnot, right? And then seamlessly, and then of course, then you can share this analysis with your team seamlessly here, saving it to your team space, or you can even send it to anyone as a PDF on email, right?
Fantastic.
So it scales even beyond your team. And then you can seamlessly just, let's see, when we're done here, you can resume very easily the presentation if you actually want to see how this ended.
It's loose.
Oh, there you go.
Beautiful goal.
Fantastic.
Okay, so that was...
Was that cool or what, folks? Yeah?
This was, again, back to kind of how you get to very personalized pairing, sharing, and in-meeting experience. So this was even a pure local experience, right? Only local collaboration. And the beauty of our solution is that you can pull this into a meeting as well. So it works the same way locally and in a meeting, which is really the big differentiator, right? That you can co-create on this content over distance with live video, but we'll get to that a bit later.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks, Espen. Great demo. All right. So brings me now to my third big trend that I'm seeing in every workplace. It is about the advent of teams coming together, magically being able to now have the ability to create, to innovate, and innovate really at the speed of thought, right? And how do they do that? Well, it is about coming together on these amazing sort of devices, whiteboarding, teaming, and driving innovation. So we're seeing, again, this market just ready for explosion. 20% growth. And by the way, when you see these particular sessions, in most cases, they actually have a significant number of remote participants. That's the world we live in. So what does that mean in terms of, again, those smart workspaces? Well, great looking space, or what if you could do this, where now you've got a device like this, allows for amazing communication, but that same device now starts allowing for you to do incredible innovation, incredible co-creation at the speed of thought. So really being able to drive simplicity and choice and make those spaces super intelligent to have these same experiences that you saw just a minute ago. We've now taken that to the next step. So I spoke earlier about the fact that we've been innovating like incredibly on our large spaces. Well, can we take these devices into those spaces too? And let me see if I can set some context. How many of you have these beautiful boardrooms and beautiful, larger spaces where you have video conferencing, and then when you want to do any whiteboarding, you actually walk up and there's a flipboard or some sort of a whiteboard which is from the 1980s. Let's throw it out of the window, because with this new sort of capability, this actually adds the firepower in all those spaces, right? We call this companion mode, where you have devices purpose-built for communication and then devices built for co-creation coming together seamlessly to drive best of breed. Should we show you how that comes together? Yeah? All right, Espen?
Okay, let's take it away. So in the previous meeting we joined, it was actually a scheduled meeting on this device, right? In many cases, your meetings are scheduled, but you don't have a booked room for it, right? So you're probably running around finding a suitable space, and then you need to figure out how to join the meeting. And that could end up kind of being a 10-minute exercise, right? In this case, I have all my meetings on my personal device here. I see that I have a meeting about ideation and an ideation demo at Infocom. And since I'm seamlessly paired to this device, I will just very easily push the green button on my laptop here, and the device will just get into the meeting where we have some amazing colleagues.
Wow. Hey guys, good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Welcome to our conference room system. So we're sitting in, still in the Whisper Suite, but we have a large conference room here. And of course, we have a system that is capable of producing that meeting for us. But what we wanted to talk about now is how we solve the larger meeting spaces, but still allow for collaboration and ideation between the two locations. So let me just walk up here. We got a WebEx board at the end here. And the moment I stand up, I'll be able to speak a little bit, and then the system will detect that I'm at the WebEx board. Well, at least if I continue to speak. Now it's a little bit awkward. There you go.
There you are. Okay.
So now we're sharing the kind of the picture of the setup we have here, right? Where I'm back at the board, and of course I can now do a snapshot of this presentation, so I can do some writing on top of it. So I'm back at the board, and I have full eye contact with you guys on the far end, and I also have full eye contact with the people here. So this allows us to have a really dynamic meeting where we have eye contact with people locally in the room and also you guys at the far end.
And then again, I'm able now to do what I did locally in the previous show and tell, right, in a remote session with Anders here on my board, right? So I can, for instance, ask this guy over here, I'm a bit concerned about his experience, right? Will this be kind of a neck twister to him?
No, not at all. I mean, the good thing here is that this guy will have full eye contact with me, and the moment you start drawing, then he will turn to the other side and see you guys as well, and you guys over here, but also what you guys are drawing on the board. So it's a perfect setup both for me standing here at the back, but also the people in the middle of the meeting as well.
Okay, so he'll be happy, right?
Yes.
Great.
So, but I just wanted to add one more quick thing that is really nice, that I can also add sticky notes. So if there's certain things that we want to work on, and I'd say that in this room we definitely need to work on the lighting, so I just added a sticky note on that so we can remember, and I can probably put important over here that allow us to remember, and of course you can make sticky notes as well.
So how cool is that? You know, this is typically how the modern meetings are. You've got stickies, people just moving them around with project schedules and so on.
Okay, so this is again how we can do actual kind of ideation across distance, right? And I think this also illustrates really well why, I mean, while this is a great experience for me in a somewhat smaller space when I'm close to the screen, I see Anders pretty clearly here, right? But it's not a great experience for you in the audience, which is why we need, in these cases, multi-screen experience so that you get a great people experience and a great co-creation experience, and that there's no compromise. So thank you, Anders. We'll leave you to the rest of your customer engagements up in the Whisper Suite, and you might all be welcome there if Anders has some room to spare.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Anders.
See you guys.
So if you want to know more about this experience, you know, please visit our booth at the Infocom areas, as well as we have some Whisper Suites where we give you some under the covers, the next generation sorts of capabilities. So I want to now sort of switch gears. Can I do that? Yes?
You can.
Okay.
You have to. We have 10 minutes left.
All right, I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the market and what's happening to the market and what we're seeing is some unprecedented growth. And particularly one area that we're seeing that is in the area of interactive flat panels. We've seen that market growing at close to 20%, you know, CAGR. And what's driving that? Well, it's workplace transformation. It is the huddle. It is about digital signage. So on that context, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, you saw some of the devices that we have as part of our stable, whether it's the RoomKit Mini, whether it's the board, which are driving incredible experiences. They're all in one devices. But one of the things that we at Cisco firmly believe it is that through partnerships, while we've been driving this market, you know, with these incredible innovations, we believe that it is through partnerships that we can really, you know, actually build even greater journeys for our customers. And really then it's about extending our reach. It is about creating, you know, choice for our customers, and it's about winning hearts and minds. And so today, I want to talk to you about a very important announcement and a major partnership that Cisco is doing with Samsung. As you all know, Samsung is the leader in visual display, and Cisco WebEx, again, the leader in collaboration. So it is the coming together of these two incredible brands to create next-gen experiences which basically will allow for incredible reach, which will also create choice for customers. So with that, I want to talk about the first major introduction. We call this Huddle in a Box. So we spoke about Huddle previously. What if it could come together in a frictionless, all-in-a-box type of solution? So this is exactly what we're bringing together. So it's the Samsung display, 49-inch. It's a WebEx meeting subscription in the box and coming together with the powerful RoomKit Mini, purpose-built for huddle spaces. So all of these are prepackaged in one single bundle. It's plug and play, and for your user, absolutely seamless. One click, things just magically start, right? And with all that intelligence. So that's the big introduction that I want to talk about at InfoComm. This is the first time we're making this announcement. Should I talk about the second announcement?
Please do.
Okay. So before I do, I want to give you a little something about what we're doing in terms of our innovation journey itself. The RoomKit Mini that you saw, well, we're going to give that, again, powerful capabilities of touch into this same portfolio, into the same RoomKit Mini and the RoomKit portfolio. And with that now, as I said, we want to give choice. We want to extend reach. We want to really expand the market. I want to now talk about the next bundle that we've done and the next major introduction. Folks, I want to call this, we're calling the code name as WebEx Flip. I want to introduce to you WebEx Flip, which is a purpose-built device, again, with an incredible partnership between Cisco and Samsung for wireless sharing, for having WebEx meetings, for having whiteboarding, for co-creation, and for really driving some incredible innovation and win hearts and minds. This is the first partnership that we have done across industry for co-creation, and we're really, really proud to have this association with Samsung. This will be available towards the end of the year, and Espen, should we show them what this looks like?
Yeah, we accidentally have something under the covers here. We might have something under the covers. Let's see what we have under the covers, right?
Okay. Can we get the drum roll? All right, folks, this is the WebEx RoomKit Mini with the Samsung Flip coming together as one incredible bundle, which you will be able to have directly from our distributors. It's going to be, as I said, launched towards the end of the year. It has all those advanced capabilities that you saw with our WebEx board. We'll have similar sorts of experiences with this. And this gives, again, our customers choice. And we believe that firmly this allows us to expand our reach into every part of how you think about the huddle journey. Should we show how this
even if
together?
this is not available until Q4, Sandeep, it should work already, right?
You think so?
Yeah, well, let's try. Can you give me a call?
Okay.
If you call my WebEx Flip here, it should come up there.
Is that what it is?
I think it is.
And I do the call?
Please do. It is calling indeed. Okay, so we're in a call. That's a good start.
Between these two,
right?
yeah, okay.
Yeah. But we didn't do this only to be in a call. We did this to actually co-create, right? And using Samsung's amazing touch technology to bring collaboration into these sessions. So now I started the whiteboard on the WebEx Flip. You see it replicated here on your WebEx board. And I'll start writing something here. So again, our incredible partner here, Samsung. We're adding some magic to that, right?
And I can do the same?
You should be able to annotate here now. And
all right, let me try that.
Two-way thing, right?
Okay. And I'm going to take a different color.
There we go. And we absolutely love these capabilities when brought together.
Wow.
Right, so that's a short and sweet demo. You can see more at the Samsung booth when it comes to these experiences.
That is incredible, and a big thank you to our partnership and our partners at Samsung for this incredible innovation that we've done jointly in the market. As I said, this will really transform how we think about co-creation across all spaces. So while we had the WebEx board and it's helping us grow into in all those spaces, with our partnership, we're driving even greater reach. So with that, I want to sort of come to the end of my session with just a little anecdotes about my journey itself and how this whole smart workspace concept is something that I lived through, something that I've seen actually coming together and driving engagement. So recently, I actually did a big move from from Singapore to Oslo. And while we were sort of making that, while I was making that move, we actually did a big change in our office. And this is what the new office looks like. And how did we actually make that transformation? Well, this is an actual floor plan of that office. And what we did was to change the way we thought about technology being deployed at scale. If you think about why typically there are challenges about video, or for that matter, the fact that people go into spaces, they book an 8-people space, but it's only being used by 1 or 2 people. Or the fact they don't show up. It is because in most organizations, technology is not available at scale. It's a scarce commodity, so we put our arms around it. What if you could change that with the portfolio that Cisco has and just really had technology available at scale in every way that you think about wanting to have that experience? And that's exactly what we did. So we really changed how you thought about the desks. 655 desks to about 400 desks. We changed how we thought about video being available at scale. 3x in terms of the number of video endpoints or other devices. By the way, while we were reducing the desks, our workforce didn't decrease. We were actually only adding 20% more. What we also did was to change the way we thought about those spaces. So instead of those underutilized meeting spaces, right, we transformed them to spaces which really came alive. So from 49, we went down to 29. But we created new spaces, touchdown areas, huddle spaces, and we actually created what we call as the e-cafe. And even in the e-cafe, we brought in video. So this is the day in the life of me when I was there in that office. I would start my day, move into one of those touchdown areas. That's how I started. I'd do video, I'd do catch up with my teams. At say 11 a.m., I wanted to do a catch up with one of my colleagues, Steve. We would just walk up to one of the devices, like this device that you saw here, do co-creation, some ideation. Later in the day, when I wanted to do some strategic thinking, I moved to a space which allowed me to do that. At 3 p.m., somebody from HR sort of grabbed me and said, hey, we have an issue. And because technology was available, I was able to walk into a closed door space, click a button, and be able to get all the people together. And at 4 p.m., I had a scheduled meeting. And as I walked in, the devices knew who I am. They had that intelligence of being able to sense my calendar, and I could just say, hey, WebEx, start my meeting, and it just magically started. And that's the level of intelligence that we've driven across our workplace. What that meant from an engagement standpoint is folks who had actually started getting disengaged, they were really not very happy with how the previous office was. They've actually transformed. We're seeing 30% more increased badge in. So people coming back into the office, they're super happy to actually come back and really get engaged back in the office. And by the way, as part of that, we even drove a 20% saving of real estate to the CFO. So truly winning hearts and minds of the users, the CFO, and everybody else connected. So that's the journey I lived through, and I would love to have each of you go through that journey in your organizations. And truly what enables that is the power of the platform, and that's driving these incredible experiences across, whether it is for smaller spaces, large spaces, whether it's the mobile device, whether it's any sorts of way that you think about collaborating. I thank you all for being here. Very happy to take questions offline, or please visit us at our booth. And thank you very much again to Espen and also the team from Samsung for being here and for the incredible partnership.